Hi, Peter Rose, founder of Longwood Currency Trading, and it's a beautiful day. Thought I'd come out and chat with you today. It seems to me that I'm doing more chatting outside than I am at my desk, but that's okay. So look, there's an awful lot of folks out there talking at you about Forex currency trading, and the question comes up at some point, who do you trust? Do you trust me that's honest with you? I lost all my money. I gotta refund my account and work through that again. But I learned a lot. I've given the reasons of why that happened. Part of it was because I tried to apply the same rules that I was successful at as a real estate investor into the currency markets, and it just doesn't quite translate point for point. Or do you trust the guy that's driving around in a fancy McLaren or waving his rolls of cash around at you and hyping the fact that he's going to Costa Rica every other week to vacation? Who do you trust? Most of the folks that are out there that are talking make sense, and I guess the thing that I would say to you is that probably most folks have made money. The question, though, that I have, and I've used this in my martial arts classes when I'm talking about the reality of life, is that you can have some fool run through a minefield and get to the other side and turn around and say, "Hey, everybody, follow me. I just ran through this minefield. I know how to do it." How do you determine what's real and what's not? You know, in today's world, there's all this discussion about fake news and fake gurus and all that sort of stuff. I don't purport to be a guru. When I follow my rules, I make money. And I didn't have those rules or the strict structure of them when I began my trading. I was very successful in a simulated account. Anybody can be a freaking hero in a simulated account. I'm a computer engineer, so I wrote thousands of lines of computer simulation analysis software. I thought I knew what I was doing. I got into the simulated market. I did really good. I developed a system. I was averaging 15% a month for months and months at a time in that simulated account. I thought that I understood what was going on. I read all the books. I didn't have anybody teach me. I taught myself, and that was a mistake. That was the first mistake. So I should have had a mentor, and that's what I suggest to everybody that I talk with. Get somebody who's been beat up and known this stuff, because you can learn from their mistakes instead of making your own. I made my own. Anyway, when I got into the market I funded my account with a lot of money because I had a lot of confidence in myself. I'm a successful real estate investor, software engineer, I got a degree in physics. I've been through all this shit over and over and over again to say that I'm not a stupid ass, but I lost all my money. I funded the account corresponding to my net worth at the time, and it wasn't that it was throwaway money. $50,000 is a lot of money. But away it went. Well, I had to sit down and think, what the heck's going on here? I listened to all these people out there, all these talking heads. I read the books. I watched the videos. I don't know how many hundreds of hours of videos I watched. I even took a couple of courses. Who do you trust? Were all those people scammers? Were they all wrong? No, not necessarily. But as an educator, someone who's been in the martial arts for 50 years and have students that have been with me 30, 40 years, I have some semblance of an awareness of what it takes to be a communicator, an educator, turning information into positive action and knowledge. So who do you trust? Who do you trust? I had to turn to myself and reevaluate this whole process of currency trading, and I sat down, and honestly, true story, in about 15 minutes I figured it out. It took me a couple of weeks to implement it and have confidence in the fact that it did work. I was left with $5,000 from the large account that I lost, and in about 4 months I doubled that five, and then added some more money to the account, and then proceeded to break my rules and lost that. So, but I get it, I understand. You know, my own worst enemy is myself. Pogo said that. I think his name was Kelly, Mark Kelly, 1941 cartoonist, Pogo. We have found the enemy, and he is us. Yeah, that's the big thing. But how do you determine the enemy that's talking at you over videos or writing books or whatever? How do you determine whether they know what they're doing? Do they flash their fancy car at you and their big mansion with their swimming pool and the gold chains around their neck? How do you determine that? I'm a millionaire. I made my money in real estate. You want to know how a millionaire really lives? Here, let me go over and show you my fancy car. Let's just go over here and do this. Yeah, okay, here I am at my fancy car. Take a gander at this joy of thing. We call it the Tank. It's a 2003 Subaru Forester. I got it. Well, I didn't get it. My son's an auto mechanic. He picked it up for $1,200 and put new whatever you do. I'm not an auto mechanic, but there's something wrong with Subarus that during certain years in the compression or cylinders or stuff that the seals go. He fixed that, and I've been driving this thing. We call it the Tank because we've gone on Class 6 roads with it. And but that's the car I drive. I mean, it gets me from here to the store. What more do I need? What do I need? A Lamborghini? Let me show you the road here that I live on. You look up that road, and we're going to go around here. Sorry to make you dizzy with all this. There's the road down there. What are you going to do? You're going to take a Lamborghini around up here? You know, when I moved up here, I had a Honda Accord, and I happened to stop down the hill and talk to the road agent. They call this, he's the guy that's in the small towns. He's the guy that manages the maintenance of the roads and takes care of the snow plowing and all that stuff. And I got to know him, and a really nice guy. And so he says to me, he looks at my Honda Accord and he goes, "Son," he says, you better get you a different car for up here, boy, because that car isn't going to make it in the winter. It ain't going to make it up the hill." And it wouldn't have made it up the hill. So I was fortunate to get the Tank and to go from there. That's my millionaire story. How do you like that car? What am I going to do with a Lamborghini? Are you going to park it crossways in the supermarket parking lot so that nobody else parks near you so they don't ding it up? Heck, I don't give a shit if somebody dings my car up. I got more important things to do. You know what I use my money for? Again, I paid cash for that house. That's what we work our asses off for. I was fortunate that at 21 years or 22 years of age, I figured out the rules of the game, and I got into real estate, and that's what I was able to retire on. So you can trust me as knowing what I'm doing in real estate. Can you trust me in what I'm saying about currency trading? Well, yeah, you can, because I know the rules of the game. The fact that I understand why I lose money when I don't follow my rules, I know what the rule is. At issue is we're bombarded with so much information, so many people trying to tell us what works and what doesn't work. You know, Jesse Livermore said, the only way I know to learn is to invest my cash, track my results, learn from my mistakes. When I learn enough times what not to do, then I learn what to do. And So that's what I've done. But you don't have to do that. If you can find somebody that knows what they're doing and they can express it to you in terms that you can relate to, that you can understand, not just puking information at you. This is a pip, and when this fast-moving average crosses the slow-moving average, you do this, and as Rob Booker calls it, the Fibonacci spiral of death. Technical indicator does X, Y, Z. Oh, man, then you're all set. That is a bunch of shit. That's horse shit. Don't even pay any attention to somebody like that. But watch the videos because it's great entertainment. There was a great quote. Gibbons was his name. He's a floor trader on the Chicago Commodities Exchange. And he said, you know, there's a lot of guys that made more money than I did. But he said, I kept it, and a lot of them didn't. He says, it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And that's all said well and good. One of the things that I've run into in watching all these videos and reading some of the books of the people that are touting, well, we're not going to tell you how much money we make because, you know, we just don't want to tell you that. So we're going to show you what we do on this $10,000 account, and we're going to build that up, and we're going to do all this sort of stuff. You know, the problem with a lot of them is up until recently, it was allowed in most countries to have 100 to 1 leverage, 200 to 1. There's some countries that allowed 500 to 1 leverage. Well, the United States and Canada and Great Britain a couple of years ago said, no, we're not going to allow that to happen anymore. This is crazy, because that's just stupid. Anybody will tell you try to use that much leverage. You're crazy. In the United States here, if you happen to be watching this from somewhere else, we have to put 5% down as margin, as a minimum, just to place the bet, just to place the trade. So if you got a currency price that values a full lot of $100,000, you've got to come up with $5,000 to play that game. So do you trust someone who said, oh, I made 6 figures, but I was trading a 200 to 1 account? You know, in a blog post I did, or a course I wrote, or some foolish thing, I remember I went through the compounding calculations between 50 to 1, or a 20 to 1 account, or a 50 to 1 account, versus somebody who had a 100 to 1 or 200 to 1 account. And you go through, you know, it's statistically likely that you'll hit 6 losses in a row. Well, you'll hit 6 wins in a row too. It's statistically likely that within a year or 2 years, if you're an active trader, you'll hit 10 losses in a row. I've hit runs of 13. That was my top. Of course, I'm not sure I wasn't doing really stupid stuff too during that period of time. In fact, when I had my large account, right at the beginning when I started trading that, I hit 6 losses in a row. And I pretty well knew what I was doing. I just didn't have all my timing figured out, and that was the big issue with my loss. But I did hit 6 losses in a row, and they were big losses. But regardless of that, if you had 200 to 1 leverage and you got lucky, it's some skill. Come on, I mean, you know, you can't take some total buffoon and just roll the dice and end up with 6 figures. But look, it's relatively easy to hit a 6-figure account or more with a 200 to 1 account if you kind of know what you're doing, than it is to build a 6-figure account when you know what you're doing with 50 to 1 leverage. Okay, so again, that's something that you really have to take into consideration when you're talking with somebody. And the other issue that I've run into is that a lot of the folks that are teaching out there that have large accounts are teaching protective trading. They've made a lot of money, and so there's more of a fear of loss than a desire for gain, because they made it. You make $300,000 or $400,000, you don't want to lose it, so you only risk 0.5% of your account on a trade. Well, look, if you're starting out, you got a $3,000 account, and you're trading 3 minis. And what are you going to do? You're going to risk 3% of your account? I mean, yeah. Well, what are you going to do? How do you make any money? How do you make that small account grow? Well, the point of the thing is, you're not supposed to make the small account grow to a big account, because it's statistically almost impossible to do that. Now, William's daughter, what's his first name? The commodities trader. Sorry, I'm having a brain cramp. But his daughter has taken $10,000 and run that to $100,000 a couple of times. So you can take that size account, and if you really, really know what you're doing, and the trading gods are with you, you can run that to a pretty good amount. Could she take $100,000 and run it to $1 million? That's a whole order of magnitude different. It's a little easier to take the smaller accounts and double or triple or quadruple them, because there's not so much at stake. Look, I'm sitting with a small mini account now, and I mean, I don't really give a shit. I was doing so well with it. I was up 40% after the first 3 months of trading, and it seems like I always get to that 3-month point and then I break one of my rules, which is what I did. I ended up in a trade. I'm sitting with a margin call right now, but it's such a small amount of money in relationship to what I have. I've lost interest in that trade. It's like I used to play poker all the time, and I was playing 10-20, you know, $10 a card, $20 on the last. Texas Hold'em, that's a lot of money. Yeah, you can lose a substantial amount of money if you don't know what you're doing. But I couldn't go back into a 25-cent dollar game, 10-cent, 25-cent game. I get bored. I get bored. Unless it hurts when you lose, you don't learn anything, and you also don't pay attention. So as much as I try to be rigorous with a $1,000 account or a $3,000 account, or the $5 that I have, but I just trade part of it. When the thing goes against me, I go, well, you know, it'll come back. It'll come back. Well, it doesn't come back. You know, I just hit a margin call. I'm 15 pips. If it goes 15 pips in my favor, I'll be out of the margin call. But I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't hurt me now for the amount that I'm losing, but it will seriously impede my ego if I were to get margined out. That would hurt. I'd have to come to you and I'd have to say, boy, I was really a stupid ass and I got margined out on this little account. I don't care. I'm not trading anymore, even though I have more money that I could put into that account, because I made a commitment to the account that I'm trading, and my character is such that I have said to myself, I'm not going to just blow the account and come back and reload and blow the account. I'm just not going to get into that. I want it to hurt. The money part of it doesn't hurt. You know what hurts? Is not being able to trade. I haven't traded in 2 months. That's how long I've held this stupid freaking position. That's my punishment for being stupid. So if you don't want to listen to me, oh, that's fine. Or you think I'm full of shit, that's fine. But just be sure you're applying, when you look at all the folks that are out there that are talking at you and trying to tell you what's legit and what's not. Take a look at what they've done, where they've come from, and what their other experiences are, and whether part of their claim to fame is they hit 200-to-1 leverage, got lucky with 6 hits, and then started trading cautiously for protection rather than trading to make money. I'm willing to lose my money because I want to fucking win. I don't want to just fucking hold on to the money and be protective. That's not how you do it. You don't want to live your life that way. They don't build boats to stay in the harbor, and I'm going to push it to the max. I don't want to be careless about it. I don't want to be reckless about it. But come on, 0.5% risk, isn't going to make any money with that. If you had a $600,000 account and you had a 0.5% risk, and you were making, well, if you take a 0.5% risk, then you're risking a 0.5%. So a 0.5% on $1,000 is $5, right? So it's $5 a thousand. 50 bucks for 10,000, $500 for 100,000, $5,000 on $1 million account. Okay, as a 0.5%. So you sit down there at the table and you make, you have $1 million account, you make $5,000 a day. Great. You make $500 a day with a $100 account. I mean, a $100,000 account. So you don't really have to push the boundary on anything. You don't have to push it. That isn't how you got to have a $100,000 account from maybe a $10,000 account. So why change the way that you do it? Because they're afraid of losing the money. It's just fucking money. Who cares? It's what's in your heart. It's what's in your spirit. It's the quality of your life that we're talking about, and how you conduct your life in a right living, right thinking manner, being unafraid. If you want to succeed big, you got to risk big. Read Jesse Livermore's book and tell me that he was conservative. Everybody poops on him because they say, oh, he died broke. Yeah, but the 7 fortunes that he made during his lifetime were each one larger than some of the wealthiest people today in the world have, that took 40 years to achieve. Now, of course, he didn't have to pay any taxes on that, but that's still a lot of money. He made, during the Depression, he made the equivalent of $1 billion. In basically a couple of days. Well, maybe it was longer than that, but it was certainly shorter than anyone else was able to do it. The amount of time it took George Soros to break the Bank of England and make $1 billion, or Paulson, who made, I think he made something like $6 billion for himself during the mortgage crisis. You read Livermore's book, and you'll see what I mean by that. And if I'm crazy, if you think I'm crazy because of that, that's okay. Look, it's my money. It doesn't hurt you. If I lose it all, it doesn't hurt you. Doesn't hurt me either, because I'm never going to risk so much that it would impair my lifestyle or my family or anything else. But I'll tell you what, I'm in it to win it. I'm Peter Rose, founder of Longwood Currency Trading. Thanks for your attention. Hope you have a great day. Have a great trading day.